Social problems. In this chapter, we're going to look at some of the problems we have. So, some problems we experience in a society. The first one is examination malpractice, and we all know how this is posing a very huge problem to our society. So this is defined as cheating in respect of examination as to gain undue advantage either before, during, or after an examination. So examination malpractice could come before the examination, during the examination, or after. And the persons perpetrating this malpractice could either be the student, it could also be the examiner, or even the person supervising the examination. Okay, so it could come in form of copying other students' work, coming to the examination hall with textbooks, key points, copied materials, or even impersonation, which is someone coming to write for another person. When teachers who claim to be invigilators assist the students by giving them answers to the questions. Some lecturers in higher institutions accept money from the students to pass them. Okay. Then cult members could intimidate lecturers to pass them in their examinations, or the lecturers will lose their lives. Then some parents even encourage their children in examination malpractice by giving them huge amounts to register for this examination in special centers. Okay, so these are forms of examination malpractice we face in the society, and are very bad. So why are we trying to discourage examination malpractice? Because it encourages laziness. At the end of the day, when students graduate, you find out that they don't even know anything anything about what they studied. They graduate, they go for interviews, and are not able to secure a job because they don't know anything. Okay, so it promotes joblessness in society, and we also know that an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So examination malpractice goes beyond the examination. It produces a society that is corrupt, increases bribery and corruption. Okay, so we should shun examination malpractice and pay full attention to our books and teachers and the school guidance counselors to learn good study habits and ascertain subjects to offer an examination. So there's nothing like being very confident of yourself. You know what you're doing in school. You try as much as possible. The ones you don't understand, you read them and be a man of your own. Okay? So that's why we're trying to promote in social studies. We're trying to promote good values. Okay, now the second one is cultism. And this is in the increase in our high institutions and also secondary schools. We have students coming together to achieve a particular purpose, but this purpose now is not good. It comes in the form of intimidating students, rape, killing, stealing, robbery, and etc. And sometimes they even go as far as using charms and guns in their activities. Okay, they even break into people's house, rob them, and do all sorts of things. Students in school, when they see them, they try to kidnap them or forcefully take their phones or even rape the women in the school. Okay, so this should be discouraged, because even after the institution level, when they graduate, they tend to continue with this kind of habits. Okay, so it should be discouraged. Then HIV/AIDS. HIV means human immunodeficiency virus. So this is a virus that causes the disease, and the disease is called acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Okay, so this virus could be acquired by transfer of body fluids. Body fluid could come in the form of semen during sexual intercourse. It could also be transfer of blood from one person to the other, or breast milk. So any kind of fluid from the person that is infected with HIV to a person previously uninfected. So the virus, since they are very small, they move through body fluids to the other person. And what they primarily do is to destroy the immune system of a person. So what is the importance of the immune system? Immune system helps one fight against diseases. So once someone is infected by any disease, the person's immune system counters or fights against that disease till the person recovers. Okay? So by this time around, the virus completely destroys the immune system, and the body is no longer able to fight diseases. So common illnesses like malaria now become very, very problematic for a person with HIV. The person can no longer survive malaria. Even things like boils, simple infections and other things that affect us daily and we may not even notice now become very troublesome and tend to kill the person. And also, if the person before now had a disease will call chronic infections that the body has suppressed over time. The immune system has kept that disease process inactive. Once the immune system now goes down, those processes now tend to reactivate and become very problematic for the person. Okay? So the modes of transmission, we've mentioned some of them. We'll say sexual intercourse is a mode of transmission of HIV. Contact with a HIV-infected blood and blood products. Then from an infected mother to her child, before, during, or after birth. Then shaving of skin piercing instruments or objects like razor, needles, or syringes. Okay, so these facilitate the transfer of HIV from one person to another. Then what are the symptoms? The symptoms, the person begins to have fever, and not just fever lasting up to 1 month. Then chronic diarrhea. Diarrhea is the passing of watery stool. So chronic diarrhea that may last for 1 month. Then the person experiences weight loss. Then persistent cough, recurrent skin infections. Then there's one we call lymph glands or lymph nodes. They enlarge. Then we also have thrush. Okay, so these are signs of symptoms of HIV infection. Then how do you prevent HIV? The best prevention is abstinence. Abstinence, which is to abstain from sexual intercourse, especially for the unmarried. Total abstinence. Okay, avoidance of casual sex. Then blood products and blood itself meant for transfusion should be avoided. Okay, then before marriage, blood tests are very necessary to confirm that any of the partners not have HIV. Then use of condoms also very important. So there's an acronym we call BECE of prevention, and A stands for abstinence. B stands for be faithful, so you have to be faithful to your partner for the ones that are married. Then C for the use of condoms. Okay, so these are the ABC for prevention of HIV/AIDS. Then other social problems, we have armed robbery, kidnapping, prostitution. So armed robbery and kidnapping, they are well known to us. Now let's go to prostitution. Prostitution is a vice, a social vice, and encourages even the transfer of HIV from one person to another. Okay, so prostitution in no way must not be encouraged in the society. Then drug addiction produces individuals who are not even able to think for themselves because of the drugs. The drugs affect their mental processes, and they even tend to run mad later in life. Then corruption, bribery and corruption, all these classified as financial crimes, money laundering, etc. must be discouraged. So you find out someone who is a senator or a governor takes money that belongs to the individuals in the society and uses for his own personal purpose. So this is greed and should be discouraged. So later in this chapter, we'll look at solutions. Look at some solutions to these social vices. Okay, then divorce, which is the breakdown of marriages, also is a very serious situation. Then homosexuality and lesbianism. Homosexuality is said to be the highest cause of HIV/AIDS, and also lesbianism. In fact, it should be discouraged. Then human trafficking, assassination, which is part of armed robbery and kidnapping, immodest dressing, especially amongst the women in the society. They dress to expose every part of their body. This should be discouraged. And also for our men who tend to sag, it should be discouraged. This is seen more in secondary schools and universities. Must be discouraged. Thuggery, especially during elections. Politicians encourage thuggery. This must be discouraged. Then election rigging also is a social problem. Forgery. You have someone forging another person's signature or another person's credentials to defraud another person, to defraud unsuspecting individuals. Abortion, when someone has an unwanted pregnancy, and this is seen amongst the unmarried. Abortion is also seen in married people, but more amongst the unmarried. They take in without knowing, and when they now find out they are pregnant, the easiest thing for them to do is to remove the pregnancy, to terminate the pregnancy. It must be discouraged. Then rape, tribalism is bad and is a very huge problem for our country, Nigeria. So what are some solutions we can prefer for some of these social problems? So before we look at the solutions, what exactly is the root of the problem? Number one root is the death or decline in our social values. Decline in social values. Poverty is also a huge cause. Greed. So greed, when someone is greedy, the person tends to be corrupt, practice financial crimes. Okay? Then greed can also lead to forgery, election rigging. Then poverty. Poverty can lead to armed robbery, kidnapping. Poverty can also lead to divorce when the marriage can no longer stand very well. It can lead to divorce. Then human trafficking. Also, a poor person can easily become a thug, so that's thuggery, or practice election rigging or forgery. Poverty can also cause abortion when the family thinks they cannot cope with a new child or an unwanted pregnancy. They can go for abortion. Then poverty. Okay. The another cause is illiteracy. Illiteracy leads, of course, to examination malpractice, cultism, and so many other things. So laziness also can also lead to examination malpractice. Then bad governance. Okay, so these are the few. Deaths of our social values, poverty, greed, bad governance, illiteracy, and laziness. So since these are the roots of all these 20 problems we've mentioned here, how can we tackle this problem? So let's start with bad governance. Bad governance. Since Nigeria is a democratic society and is a government of the people, by the people, and also for the people. So the people should check their governance. Institutions such as EFCC, we've looked at in the past, should check corruption in the government, and also other institutions. We had ICPC should stand as a close watch to check governors that are corrupt or that are laundering money and put a stop to this kind of attitude. Then also during election, the people should be wise enough to discourage election rigging or forgery and also thuggery, so that responsible individuals who have been tested and trusted, can be elected to lead out in the government. Okay, so the people have the power to end bad governance. And also greed. Greed is more of an individual problem. So how can we tackle this problem of greed? We can also set up institutions to check this, but this also means that we already have greedy people. But the roots of it is in the family. The family and also the religious bodies should help when someone is going to discourage greed in the society. Is an individual problem. They should discourage greed in our churches, our mosques, and also the families, the parents should learn to teach their children, teach them not to be greedy. Okay? Then illiteracy, laziness. The government is trying their best to set up schools to raise our younger ones, to raise the young people from nursery down to primary school to secondary education and also universities. It's at even a low cost. So parents should try as much as possible to discourage laziness in their children and also send them to schools, help them read, check them to make sure they're following in their studies, discourage examination malpractice, so that our young ones can become very hardworking. And once they're hardworking and self-confident, we won't have all these problems in the society. Okay, so these are some of the solutions we can prefer for now. There are so many of them. Just look around your society. There are so many things you can think out as solutions to these problems. Okay, now I want you to click on Start Quiz and answer all the questions following this chapter.